Judas sinned against the Holy Son of God, the author of life himself, the most loving person who's ever lived, sinless in every way, light incarnate. That's who Judas sinned against. Judas met the face of holiness and decided to participate in the murder of that holy man. You can't fathom a greater sin than the sin that Judas commits in this passage. So what's so perfect about it? Well, it's perfect because every element happens exactly on God's schedule. How can Judas be responsible for his sin and God be sovereign over his sin? Those lines intersect at the throne of God in eternity, but they also seem to intersect at the foot of the cross, don't they? And we better get our minds around how those two truths work together without getting rid of one or the other for us to make sense of the rest of the Gospel of Mark, because those two truths, that people are responsible for their sin and yet God is sovereign over every even detail of it, those are the landing lights that bring us home here. From Mark 14, verse 1, all the way to the end of his Gospel, those are the two lights that light us up, line us up for our final approach here, that God is sovereign over every detail of Jesus' death. And yet people bear responsibility and will be judged for their sin. Salvation is not seen even in an outward following of Jesus Christ. Judas has followed Jesus for 3 years. Salvation is not even seen in an outward obedience to Jesus Christ. I mean, the call of Judas isn't recorded, but Scripture lets us know that Jesus prayed before he chose Judas, that he did call Judas, and that Judas responded. Salvation isn't seen in anything external like baptism or church membership. If you would have given Judas an external act to do, he would have done it. That's not salvation. Salvation is seen in one thing and one thing only: a love for Jesus in your heart. That's what Judas lacked. That's what Judas lacked. He didn't love the Lord. Here's another way of saying it. Your eternal destiny is determined based on your attitude towards Jesus Christ. What's your disposition towards him? Do you love him or do you not love him? This is a very black and white question. Notice that the foreknowledge of God does not mitigate against the criminality of our acts. Just because God knows what will happen and it happens under his sovereignty, he remains sovereign over it, that doesn't make you less culpable for it. You will be held responsible for your decisions. The choices you make, you will be judged for. That's the point of this. And God is still sovereign over it. Notice that kills the final boast of unbelief. The unbeliever can stand before God when he dies and have his sins exposed and be sentenced to hell, and he might say, but at least I'm sovereign over this. To which God says no.
Have you ever been so blessed and energized by a message you just want to share it with the world? Well, you're in luck. All Sunday messages are made available every Monday morning. It is Immanuel's vision and hope that you use these resources to share them with individuals in your network. Share some of your favorite sermons today. Find them all at ibcva.com/teaching. Thank you for sharing the message of Christ.